It's incredible. It feels great.
Has anybody figured out what it takes for Rolling Stone to shut up about Jonathan Majors?
Love is beautiful. Support.
It takes good news happening. Literally speaking, Meagan Good news.
What is it meant to have her there on your arm? Because she loves you.
You want me to cry? You want me to cry? Nah, man. Love is beautiful. Support.
And what does it take for Rolling Stone to start suddenly talking about Jonathan Majors again? Well, that would be bad news, of course, for Jonathan Majors. That gets Rolling Stone really active really quickly. So here they are with an exclusive, of course. What a shock. I'm sure everybody's shocked at that. So you knew that with all this good news happening, literally good news happening for Jonathan Majors, you knew something was coming. And as Pam likes to say, stunts and shows, stunts and shows. But before we get to that, we should mention Meagan Good was nominated for 3 NAACP Image Awards. The evening really belonged to her. And it was nice to see the entertainment reporters from Entertainment Tonight, and I think the other one was E! News, really focused primarily on her. She was the one who had to call Jonathan over in one part of the interview when E.T. had an exclusive and really put most of their attention on Meagan, as it should have been, because she got nominated 3 times. She's been prominent for a while, and so it was nice to see her get a spotlight there from the NAACP, which for a lot of black entertainers, that's like the award ceremony that they really focus on.
I am happy. It's really crazy. I mean, so much is going on. These past 2 years have been a crazy 2 years for me, but I'm happier than I've been in a long time, even with all the crazy. And and then God's just doing incredible things. And so trusting God on the journey. And I'm like, all right, Lord, what's next?
When I saw you and I hugged you, I could tell you were happy. You were happy.
And who does she turn to right there? Jonathan Majors. So, of course, you have this very positive image going out of Jonathan Majors and Meagan Good. Meagan Good and Jonathan Majors on the red carpet. The both of them at the NAACP Image Awards. They're smiling. They're happy. They're talking about love. They've got interviewers asking them questions, none of which goes to what happened with regard to the misdemeanor case. And so, of course, what happens next? Well, what happens next is that Grace Jabbari files a civil suit. Grace Jabbari, who just won in December a misdemeanor case against Mr. Majors. Really, of course, not bought by Ms. Jabbari, but by the Manhattan DA's office. And so they won the case. But she's back with a civil suit, which was filed today on March 19, 2024. And right now, as I make this video, I see that Kat is reading the civil suit filed by Ms. Jabbari today. This is March 19, 2024. I will link to Kat's reading of the suit, which of course comes with her commentary, in the description of this video. I'd also point out that timing is very important in these things, and Danny brings up some pretty good timing points here. 3/25, which is my birthday, is the anniversary of when this whole thing started. The April 1st is the day that the judge in the Majors Jabbari case has to rule on the motion to set aside the verdict. And April 8th is the day of sentencing. So this civil case dropped by Ms. Jabbari today comes, of course, right before the sentencing and right before, of course, the April 1 decision on the motion to set aside the case that the judge must make. So what this probably in part is, of course, is PR. We understand, of course, that what is written in a civil suit typically is shielded from defamation. So you see a lot of messaging in civil suits. This is not to say in any way that every civil suit that you see is full of lies or any of that, but I'm just making the point that civil suits are shielded, generally speaking, from defamatory, so you can almost put anything in there and not get sued for defamation. That's something that people should keep in mind, no matter who is filing what. The other thing I would bring up is that Mr. Majors' attorney, Priya Chaudhry, is saying that there will be a countersuit. That is a quote from the Hollywood Reporter, and shout out to the Hollywood Reporter for posting the civil suit, the lawsuit, which I don't know why these news organizations don't do that, but thank you, Hollywood Reporter, for doing it and putting the suit on Scribd. All these links will be in the video description. I want to also point out that the damages that Ms. Jabari is asking for in this civil case is $75,000. I'm not saying that it's got to be a $20 million case, but I find that to be slightly unusual as someone who works with a lot of attorneys, and civil cases are typically more money than that. I mean, when you're asking for damages, and again, not every case has to be, $1 trillion, but 75,000, I think is, to me, is a little bit of a markedly, a noticeably low amount. I wish I had an average for civil cases, but I don't. But I will say that is interesting. I thought it was interesting to see that 75,000. Also interesting in the first version of the Rolling Stone story. Surprise, everybody! Rolling Stone broke this story. I know that's shocking to everybody. They didn't mention that it was 75,000. I think there was a reason they left it out, which is it is a strangely low amount in my view. But again, I will check to see if that average is low. Maybe that is the average. You never know. But in a jurisdiction like New York, it would surprise me that there's a lot of civil cases out there alleging these types of things that have that type of low amount. And the last thing I'll say is, of course, I'm reading the case. I've pretty much read it once. I'll read it again. I'll be back with some deeper analysis. I don't like to necessarily rush things. I like to read things, think about it, and then put stuff out. But some of it is sort of this sort of interesting messaging from the Me Too movement, which always seems to assume that the accused doesn't get to talk. There's sort of this attitude in the case of, we're right because we say so, and you don't get to say anything. And if you do say something, you're attacking us. So the accused talking is an attack. The accused talking is victimizing people. So it's a very interesting sort of baseline argument that people do not have the right to defend themselves. And in this case, they have Mr. Majors' attorney implicated as well. And in fact, there's sort of this attitude in the filing and the complaint of, how dare his attorney be defending him, and how dare he be doing interviews saying that this is not the way it happened. So there's an interesting sort of attempt, in my view, to reset these conversations around people who are accused of certain crimes where you do not have the right to defend yourself. The presumption of innocence is questioned, and the presumption that you should be able to talk, that's not supposed to happen. And if you're talking, that's defamatory. There's sort of a theme there, in my view. On the first reading, you pick up on it. But let me read again, very carefully and very slowly, to make sure. And I will be back soon, or I'll be back on somebody else's chat and talk about it a little bit. But I tend to be very careful in the first hours when I get this type of information, particularly with court cases. You want to read very carefully. You want to consider all the angles and all the arguments. And remember at all times that there are three sides to every story. The side accusing, the side of the accused, and what actually happened, the truth. And I think we should all be focused on what's true as we can best figure that out. Again, with this case, there's a lot on video. There's a lot of text. There's a lot of things that we can see for ourselves. We don't have to believe Jabari or Mr. Majors. You can just watch a video for yourself at somebody at a club or somebody chasing somebody down a street. So I'll be back soon. Good luck.